In this demo, we're going to go through the same JUnit work that we did before, only this time we're going to go ahead and use, we're going to go through Online Shop like we did before, but we're going to use the JUnit version of it. The JUnit version is available within BlueJ, it's available within most major IDEs, and its capabilities are really impressive. To go ahead and create this, you do a new class, and you'll say unit test. A green item will come out. There's a way to link them together. I'll let you work through that. There's examples in the book, etc. But now what I've done is I've created the code for this to work. And what I did just now, and we'll do that again, is I opened up the sales item work, and it's exactly the same as it was before. So we did this long demo or long discussion with all this different stuff in here. You can see there's a ton of methods, and it'd be kind of a pain in the neck to have to test this. Remember how to do it every single time the same way. So JUnit does not change the original source code in any way. What's different now is that you have this extra piece of code that we've opened up, sales item test, so it looks very similar right now, although we see a different set of imports at the top. Okay, so you have these here, and you see slightly different things. You have at before, setup, okay, at after, teardown. So these are things that JUnit is now going to look for to set up the fixture. The fixture is what we're going to be using to do the test, and tears down the test fixture when we're done. So the idea would be is in this method you would call whatever you have to call, or set up whatever you have to do, or set states or variables or instantiate things, etc. Whatever it is that you feel you need to do in order to make this one fixture work. Okay? At the end of it, you clean it up so that you're back to the original state. One of the problems that people run into is they run a test and their environment is now different, and they have no way of running the test a second time. What JUnit is supposed to do is when it runs, you set up your environment to how you need it, then you tear down your environment to get it to the end. This usually has to do with database tables and things like that, but it can have a lot more to do with everything else in your system. Now, I see an at test, etc. These are the various tests that we're going to run. Tests that a comment can be added and that the comment count is correct afterwards. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an instance or an object of sales item of that class. Brain surgery for dummies. It doesn't matter what it is, it's a sample. You can go look at the code to make sure that we did this method right. And now what it's going to do is it's going to do an assert equals. So in other words, it's going to call sales item 1, do an add comment with this information. If you go look at add comment, you'll see that all these values are there and that it has to work. And what it's expecting back after running that is a true statement. So assert equals is going to capture the result of the reality against the expected. If it doesn't get back a true, it'll flag an error. Then it's going to go ahead and execute the get number of comments, and when it executes this method, it expects to get back a 1. So now it's testing the add comment functionality. Now what you could do is add additional test cases. This is a very simple example to be able to say things like, if I add another comment, do I get it? If I put some invalid values in here, do I get back a false? So you want a negative as well as positive test. This is, again, a very, very simple harness. Now I'm going to test illegal rating. So now I'm creating a new sales item, another test case. I'm going ahead and counting with these values so it gets created. And now I'm going to add a comment, and I'm going to add an illegal rating. So if you go look at the code, the rating has to be between 0 and 5, and I'm deliberately passing in a -5 for negative testing. So now it's going to come back, and I should expect the add comment to come back with a false to make sure that that edge case works. Now I'm going to do the same thing with test init. Sales item, test name, get name. So if I execute this get name, I should get back test name from this. So once to test the init function should work. I also should be able to get back a price of 1,000 because that's what I tested. So now I can test my different initialization cases. I'm now going to do add comment. Same thing. I'm going to call it out and I should get back a true. So what I'm doing is I'm writing a series of code snippets, if you will, or test cases that are going to go ahead and test the variety of different conditions. Now, if I'm doing a good job, when I'm done, I should have potentially hundreds of these in here to test the maximum boundary. So we tested with a -5. I should probably test with a 25 as well to make sure that fails. I want to test in the middle. I want to test with a name. I want to test empty name. I want to test all the different variants. So basically, if you go back through the original code, okay, if there's an if statement, you should have something that tests it being valid, above it, and below. So here's a test not equal to null. You should test that. Test it equal to null, test it not equal to null. You should get the different values. Rating. Test if the valid rating. Whatever the valid ratings are, you're going to go through. So you come down here, there's a remove comment you would test, upvote, downvote. You would test all of these. All right, and you're going to go ahead and test all of these because you want to do it once right, and as a developer, testing all of these different conditions every single time would be monotonous and time consuming. So here's 2 more cases you would add. One for this case, one for this case. Okay, so that gives you an idea of some of the things that you need to do, and you would go ahead and execute. Now, once I have that done, I'm just going to close these and make things a little cleaner. I'm going to come up to Tools. Sorry, pause for a moment. I'm going to come over here, right mouse click, on Test All. So I can test individual cases or I can test everything. So I'm going to go ahead and click Test All, sit back and wait. The system runs amazingly quickly. Shows me that I had 4 runs, 4 were successful, 0 errors, 0 failures. Okay, total time to test was 45 milliseconds. Now imagine you trying to test all 4 of these cases and doing it faster than 45 milliseconds. So, suggestion to you, it's absolutely worth it. It is worth expanding your knowledge on this and gaining more understanding. Many shops do use JUnit. The shops that are less mature don't use this. Some shops use things that are a little bit better than JUnit. But if you're your typical development shop that's working off of a budget that doesn't have infinite amounts of money, you go ahead and do this. If a good developer writes all their cases properly, you will consistently develop better code from soup to nuts every single time. It is highly recommended to do this. It's highly recommended to include it in your code. If you program in other languages, virtually every language that I can think of today has some concept of JUnit today. Hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully this is something that you'll use. Thank you very much. Have a great day.